Like a lot of married couples, my wife and I have the odd fight, but rarely about anything significant. It's more like, were there stormtroopers in the Ewoks cartoon, or does it really matter if it's 305 or 307? It's not like these things really matter in the moment. We want to be the rightest person in the room. Sometimes modern evangelicalism can feel like that too. In recent years, it seems like we spent untold hours articulating and analyzing every nuance of a whole range of secondary issues, from church model to style of education. And it's not that these issues don't matter, they do, but it seems like at some point the debate's shifted, so it's no longer about the issue, whatever the issue is, but it's more about who's going to be righter than whom. Is it any wonder then that when a far more serious issue arises, that so many evangelicals just want to throw their hands up in the air and just say, can't we all just get along? As tempting as it is to think like this, the Bible doesn't allow for it. In Jude's letter, he writes, "Beloved, I found it necessary to write appealing to you to contend for the faith once for all delivered to the saints." And this word, contend, is a really important one, but I wonder if we understand just how important it is. I mean, what does it mean to contend? Now, when some of us hear this word, sometimes we think it means that we're going to break out our apologetics books and we're going to go to war over a particular issue. We're going to debate about the age of the earth or the problem of evil or what have you. But that's not what Jude is talking about when he tells us to contend. You see, Jude is talking to a group of Christians who are embattled by false teachers and false disciples. Men and women who he calls people who pervert the grace of God into sensuality and cause divisions among God's people. He calls them worldly people who are devoid of the Spirit. And he wants these Christians that he's writing to counter this lie that's being perpetuated in the church. He wants them to stand up to their opponents and defend the faith. But how? What Jude tells us is that if we're going to counter the influence of these false teachers and false disciples, if we're going to contend faithfully, we must live faithfully as Christians. We must keep ourselves in the love of God. We must guard our hearts and minds from error by being proactive about growing in our faith, learning what really matters most, and by living in light of it in community. That's what I want you to see when you read this book. Contending isn't just about right knowledge, it's about a right attitude. It's not about just winning an argument or being the rightest person in the room. It's about showing mercy to those who doubt and who have been deceived, bringing people back, pulling them back from error and bringing them into the grace of Christ. And so when you read this book, I want you to see that for the good of the church, for the good of others, and for the glory of Christ, we must contend.